Oh, I think we're live. Okay. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Go For Good. I messed it up on the live stream. Oh, I hear the echo.
That's all right.
So, oh, wait 1 second. Sorry. I didn't take my own advice and turn down the volume on my. Sorry. Okay. Now that's better. I have a special guest with us today. It's Shelley Lewis, host of her talk show host of her own radio show, Down the Rabbit Hole, and vegan chef. And, that fits perfect with my channel. So, yeah, she was telling me a little bit of the story about the vegan chefs, and we'll get into that in a little bit. She didn't ask for anything, that was all given to her by blessing. So, so introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Shelley.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to be on your show, Daniel. So my name's Shelley Lewis, and I'm a vegan chef, like you said. Let's see. I didn't start my life that way. I wanted to be an astronaut, which obviously is a far cry from that initial venture. But and I graduated from West Point in 1996 in hopes of doing that. But I got really sick with a disease called lupus. And so just by praying and really kind of jumping from doctor to doctor when no one could help me, I felt flat on my face and God show me how to get better. And in doing that, that's kind of how I became a vegan chef. I started getting better by juicing and eating vegan. And I read like about 4 different books in one weekend that God actually, had people bring to me, which is so totally like him. And that's how I've been ever since. I have no sign of lupus, and now I teach cooking classes at a lifestyle center, and I teach people how to get better. So that's just the long story short.
Well, a long story short, yeah, it's a long story, very short. But okay.
Yeah, I could go more into it, but I'll wait on your cues.
Oh, okay. Well, now you were telling me about that you didn't even get that you didn't even have to apply for the chef job that you work. It was just offered to you, and I know you're a believer, and I'm a fellow believer. So tell me a little bit about that. So
Yeah. Okay. So in 2010, I had a tragedy happen in my life. My husband, who I knew since I was 12 years old, and we both became believers together. We both got baptized. We came in to so much truth together. He was tragically killed riding a bicycle. And so, I had been into vegan cooking since about 2002, but I never was officially a chef. And so once, that tragedy kind of just nailed me, my kids were really little. And I just realized that, just working in the real world wasn't what I wanted to do. And I was working for a solar company, ironically, when all this happened. So I quit my job, which was totally unconventional for anybody in my family to support me in doing that. Everybody said, oh, you got to keep working and just shove your kids in daycare and shove them in school. And, not in so many words, but that's basically what they were telling me to do. And it was never our desire to raise my children that way. My husband and I, we both agreed we want to homeschool our kids. We want to be there for them, even if it means one of us stays home. And at the time that my husband passed away, he was a stay-at-home dad, and he was homeschooling my kids. So when I left, I remember praying to God, because I had no support. I had nobody to really say, yes, do this, except for maybe a few of my friends. But I finally was just walking one day, and I just was crying out to God and saying, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to just be a mom. And I know that if all I have to do is live in my van, I will do it, because the desire to be with them was so strong. And I could not see myself ever letting somebody raise my child or my children. And so I just had this idea that I wanted to be a chef. I already knew how to cook, and I was a holistic health practitioner. But I had this passion for cooking. And so, I feel like going back to the garden is what healed me the first time when I was really sick with lupus. And I felt like going back again to the garden and cooking and writing cookbooks would help heal me too, just spiritually. And it was really just being in the kitchen, making healthy food for my kids. It's kind of how it started. And then it developed into a full-blown cookbook because I just had all these ideas and recipes. So I went to chef school in Mendocino. It's a raw vegan chef school because I knew I didn't want to go to Le Cordon Bleu and learn how to cook meat and dairy and all these things that I would never use. So there was this chef school, and it took me a long time to kind of go through it because, I'm a single mom and all that. So I became a raw vegan chef, and, I just learned the basics of if I could make raw food taste good, I knew I could make cooked food taste even better. And so yeah, I was writing cookbooks, and I got a call. That said, hey, we are looking for a vegan chef to come up and teach our students how to cook. Would you be interested? And I said, no, not really. I'm just kind of just taking care of my kids right now. And I really don't have the bandwidth to take that on. And they said, well, why don't you just bring your kids and they could stay here and you could just try it for like 3 weeks. And I was like, really? And so I was there for 3 weeks. And then those 3 weeks turned into about 6 years, and I'm still trying it and seeing if I like it. But I really love this job. I mean, from all the jobs I've done, this is besides being a mom, which is the best job ever. No one can ever compare to that. Nothing. This is my second favorite job, and I absolutely love it. I teach people how to eat right and how to, most people think vegan food is like rabbits. Okay, cut open a carrot and, eat it and chomp on that for a while. And that is so far removed. I mean, we make burgers and ice creams and all whole food plant-based foods. And they taste amazing. People don't realize that if you just tried to eat meat and you didn't put any seasoning on it, it would be disgusting. But so it's really the seasonings and how you prepare things that make things taste great. And so that's what I try to teach people, is to think a little bit more outside of, the traditional salad and, call it vegan, which is so far removed. Yeah.
Well, you have such a interesting story. Wow. I'm just enthralled. You need to be a YouTuber. I see your daughter. She's a wonderful singer on your YouTube channel, but you need to be put some of your videos on there. I mean, they were, that story you were telling me, this I want to learn how to make burgers and ice cream and all that.
Yes. Burgers, shakes, ice creams, French fries. I mean, we do all of it. If you think about, well, what do I eat that's, what do I love? I love lasagna. Okay, great. Well, we can make it plant-based and it will taste amazing. And I don't want to give the impression that all vegan food is just so good for you. It's not. I mean, there is a lot of garbage out there. There's a ton of MSG. Just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. So I guess my twist on it is I do whole foods, plant-based, and I keep my spices very simple. If you can't put an onion, if you're out somewhere in the Pacific, like Japan, and they don't have certain foods you can get here in America, I try to keep it very universal. And I don't even like to say universal, but just more. Do you have onions? Do you have garlic? Do you have salt, sea salt? Do you have carrots? Do you have celery? And we make foods taste good with just simple ingredients, not all these fancy spices that are hard to find. So
you'll take a vegetable, say like a carrot, and you'll cook it down to a sauce and add it to something.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Okay. So I get where you're going. So
yep. And that's the secret. I always say, if you can put a good sauce over something, if you make it just an okay food but you put a great sauce over it, it is like a game changer. So I really focus on teaching people how to make sauces from scratch. We're not opening up, what is it? I shouldn't even say the word. What is it? Hidden Valley Ranch or whatever. We're not opening up pre-seasoned packaged stuff. We're going to make it from scratch, and it's not going to be hard. You're not going to be slaving in the kitchen for hours. It's just understanding how flavors work, how your taste buds work, that you have areas on your tongue that God gave you for certain flavors and tastes, and how to make all that happen. And so it's very easy. And I call it my 7 secrets of a great soup, sauce, salad dressing, or spread. So anyhow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That needs to be a video.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is dinner time. We can get people excited about eating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, everybody's telling me that I have an echo. I don't know why I have an echo. So I'm sorry, but
Do I have an echo? Am I echoing?
uh, I don't know. Is she echoing or is it just me? Y'all tell me in the chat. Hey, Lonely Prepper. Hey, Country Girl. Hey, Susan Sullivan. Hey, Jan. Uh, hey, everybody else that hasn't said anything, but we're really into this cooking thing, and I'm getting excited because y'all know me. I grow a lot of whole foods, and I want to be able to take like a turnip and make something out of it, just like that makes my mouth water.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, I have my YouTube muted.
Once you understand chemistry of food, once you understand that an onion, it can be sweet if you caramelize it. And by the way, I don't caramelize anything with oil, no free oils. So you don't have to worry about having oil. I just use water. It can be sweet when you caramelize it. And then naturally, an onion is very spicy. So it naturally has its own spice. And it also is very pungent. And when we say pungent, I'm saying it's very strong flavor. And you have taste buds for those three parts on your tongue. So an onion now has like three components. Let's say you didn't have onion, could you substitute something else? And that's just kind of how you start. You start off with, I only have these basic ingredients. How can I use them? And let's say I don't have one of them, can I substitute? And once you understand, well, bell pepper's sweet, has a little bit of a spice, and it can be a little bit, pungent. If it doesn't have pungency, you can just add garlic, and then you get the same idea of what an onion is. And then you just start playing, layering flavors, mixing and matching, and you understand how things work. And it's that in a nutshell. Really simple.
Yeah, I made a nice leek soup today. I was telling her about it. It was really
good.
Yeah. With small potatoes, it's getting cold here, so I harvested my potatoes, and they weren't very big. They were only like that big, so I made a nice leek soup, and it was good. I didn't put any, it was vegan, believe it or not.
Nice. Yeah, potatoes are great cream base. You can always take potatoes, mash them up, put some water in there, and you have a nice cream base. In fact, I make a cheese sauce, which I say in quotations, it's not cheese, but I'll use bell pepper, tomatoes, cooked carrots. Bell peppers, potatoes, cooked carrots, water, salt, a little bit of lemon juice, and you can make like a mock cheese sauce for your macaroni and stuff,
Wow.
Yeah, and noodles, you can make noodles out of zucchini. Anyway, yeah, squash.
You can keep talking. Everybody's really interested. But now you said you wrote cookbooks. Where are these cookbooks? Are they're on your website?
Yeah, I have a website. It's called toofewcooks.com. So TOOFEWCOOKS.com. And the title of the book is Too Few Cooks in the Kitchen. And it's really based on this idea that, I grew up junk food generation. McDonald's, Hostess, Wonder Bread, all these things is what I grew up eating. I had no idea how to cook. No, none. Vegetables consisted of like potatoes and ketchup. And it's really sad, this is my generation, and my mom's generation wasn't like that. Her generation wasn't like that. But our generation, and you see people our age, I don't want to give away my age. I mean, I'm 46, but you see people getting sicker younger. And I really think it's attributed to this fast food nation we live in. And so anyway, so that book is titled Too Few Cooks in the Kitchen, because, there's a saying that too many cooks in the kitchen spoils the broth. And it's like, no, we need more people in the kitchen. And a lot of times these kitchens are these beautiful kitchens, and they don't even use them. And so it's like, oh, it's like a nice sofa. Don't use the kitchen. It's beautiful. No, the kitchen is the heart of the home. It should be messy. You should have to do dishes. You shouldn't have to worry. If people come over and your kitchen's not perfect, it's okay because you use it. And so that's really what I want people to get back to, the basics. Get in the kitchen and start cooking. And yes, you're going to have dishes, and so what? It's like the Golden Gate Bridge. You're going to paint it and you're going to start all over again. But that is how you get better. That's how you get well. And we need to be congregating in the kitchen more often, having people over, inviting them over for a meal, and sharing, being a light on the hill and sharing food with people. So that's my message. I want people to get back in the kitchen and now really start going gardening, you know, and if you can't garden, go to the farmer's market. My least favorite place to shop is the grocery store. I hate shopping there. I love farmers markets or going into your garden. You can even sprout on your counter, you know, just start with a basil plant. At least start with something that you can just utilize. And get back and be motivated. Be motivated. Go buy a nice set of pots and pans and use them, you know? So anyway.
Well, let me ask you a question. Okay, it's here is sweet potato harvest time. So
okay.
Any big ideas for sweet potatoes? I've been eating the greens because they're so nutrient packed, and I love them in the salad. So so what are your suggestions for sweet potatoes, if you don't mind?
Oh man, sweet potatoes, so many things. I make a sweet potato black bean burger, which is lovely. I will make a raw vegan sweet potato. I call it pumpkin pie, and I use sweet potato in place of pumpkin. But pumpkins is in season now. And don't ever buy pumpkin in a can, please. It's so easy to make. Just use fresh pumpkin. But on the off season, when I don't have pumpkin, I'll use sweet potatoes. There is a difference, you know, there's different like sweet potatoes versus yams. And then there's Irish sweet potatoes or the white ones. So we don't really, you know, we call them sweet potatoes, but we don't really know if that's truly, if they're Irish or not. Anyway, but so the orange ones, very, very dense vitamin A. I mean, you're going to just, vitamin A's are tremendous cancer fighters. They're like, you know, beta carotene, full of it. So I love sweet potato fries. I'll make twice baked sweet potatoes. Yeah, where you take them out and you mash them up with a little bit of seasoning and then put them back in and cook them again and get them browned. It's really nice. You know, you can do like a sweet potato toast. What you do is you take your sweet potatoes and you slice them like bread and you toast them in the toaster. And they're lovely. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but you can add your almond butter on top of that. So much to do with them. Yeah, so I hope that's a few ideas.
Yeah, that
Put
helps
me on
a
the
lot.
spot with sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Sweet potato and black bean burgers are crazy good. And sweet potatoes, actually, you know, we put our patients that are diabetic, we give them sweet potatoes. People are like, oh, potatoes are so bad for you. They're like high in glycemic and they spike your blood sugar. It's not the sweet potatoes' fault. It's what you put on them. Now, if you drench them in butter, you know, and a bunch of fat and stuff like that, then they are going to be higher dense calories. But don't be afraid of that kind of food. If you want to be afraid of food, be afraid of food that's in a box that they call food. Don't be afraid of plant-based food, though, you know. So.
Well, that's cool. That's good to know. I grow actually 21 different varieties of sweet potatoes. So the yellow, the white, the purple, the red.
Oh, they're so gorgeous. Aren't they gorgeous?
Yeah, I love to bake them. I put a little, I don't know if you use olive oil, but I put a little olive oil on there, a little salt and pepper, and bake them in the oven. Just make them like fries, and you know, they're really good. And it makes for a nice variety looking thing. So
it's so pretty. It's so pretty. What we do, like in the fall, we'll make a little mini. We'll use a muffin tin, and we'll make little mini like lentil loaves, right? So you think of like a meatloaf. Instead of meat, we would use lentils, and then we make them just the small little muffin tins, and then we puree up a bunch of sweet potato, and then we put them in one of those frosting containers, you know, the piping bags, and then we pipe them on top of the little muffins. And then you just sprinkle a little bit of parsley on top. And they're really fun because people love small foods. You know, they love to have little bite size, and they look like little cupcakes with the sweet potato piping. And then I'll use regular potato piping, the yellow, the golden Yukon gold potatoes are amazing. They're naturally buttery tasting. So we do a variety of that. And I think your idea with like the cool variety, like the purple and the white, you could have some amazing, you know, culinary skills going on.
Oh yeah, well, I did an apprenticeship with a chef for about a year and a half, and he always used to tell me, you know, taste is important, but presentation is important too. Somebody goes, wow, you already won half the battle there. So
Yes.
So I try to have good presentation,
Definitely. And then I just remember too, we also drizzle gravy over it. So you do like a drizzle of gravy and or cranberry sauce. And it's just really beautiful. And then our little lentil loaves taste like stuffing. So it's, all the fun fall flavors of sage and all of that good stuff. But you're right. Presentation is everything. I mean, something could probably taste pretty bad, but if it looks good, it looks good enough, and you have a good sauce over it, you could get away with it.
Yeah, yeah, and you were telling me about that, about the taste, about the sauce, and and I'm excited. I know you're going to start a YouTube channel, but I'm excited to learn this stuff because because I grow a lot of whole foods, and and I'm trying to live as healthy as possible, and if something was to ever happen, that's all we're going to have is just the whole foods we harvest out of the yard anyway. So,
Right. And what I was thinking about, Daniel, was we act like we're living in World War I, where we had all these rations, canned foods, box foods, things that could sit on a shelf for years. We still live like that. We're not in World War I where we have to do that. We should be eating fresh foods in season. I mean, there's definitely a place to store that kind of stuff. But I think like we have this mentality that we still eat like this. I know people, and I was one of them, who would just have like, what are we going to eat? Okay, open the cupboard, grab a box of macaroni, and everything's in a can or a jar. And we don't eat salad. We don't eat fresh fruit unless it's like a banana or an apple here and there. And we call that food and living. We are in a time now where we don't have to worry about that yet. And we should plan for that, but we shouldn't be eating like that now. That's for a future time when we can't get that stuff, So, I mean, but if you're living in the city, it's going to be next to impossible. If you're in the country, you can still grow. You can still grow out there and eat this fresh food. But anyway, I was thinking about that. Like, we should not be eating like we're, in a wartime situation where all we have are just sea rations, but we eat that way.
Yeah. Crazy. Oh, I agree with you. That's now I did it a year, and I was telling you about that. I'm working on the book. My channel knows that. 365 days without a grocery store. It's a lot of creative meals. Cucumbers and
yeah. So canning is great if you can can stuff. But yeah, cucumbers and potatoes will last. You know what I learned? This is why I really only try to buy in season. I only eat apples in the fall. I don't eat them in the spring or even the summer because they're a year old. So apples will store a long time. So in that situation, how to live, 365 days without a grocery store. You could have apples as long as you store them right. But yeah.
Well, eggs are the same way, but I know you don't eat eggs. But they're once you buy in the grocery store, they're like a year old too.
Whoa, are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's amazing.
Sorry. That's amazing. It's good to know. It's good information.
Good information, yeah. So but an egg, if you had a chicken and she laid an egg, it's good just to leave it unrefrigerated for 90 days because the oil will protect it. So
interesting.
You don't have so you don't have to refrigerate them. I have some out on the counter now, and I'm getting a lot of eggs right now. So
gotcha. Don't they say that's true about even cucumbers, that you shouldn't be refrigerating cucumbers initially? It spoils them more quickly. And I know I hate tomatoes that are refrigerated. They just get mealy,
Yeah, mushy kind of thing.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that, tomato is a fruit. So is a bell pepper. So is a cucumber. These are all fruits. But anyway, so, and I always tell people, fruit is not bad. We're in a society where you have to eat meat because you want to try to lose weight. So go keto. And it's like, really, that's crazy to me. Keto. People are afraid of fruit. We should not be afraid of fruit. It's beyond my comprehension, but I can't really judge people for that because I used to believe that too. And once I woke up, that it was all this food, this meat and dairy that was causing so much toxicity in my body, among other things, my lifestyle and processed food, which is horrific. But yeah, when people get afraid of fruit, I start to get scared. Like we have officially lost it if we're afraid of fruit.
Yeah. Well, you're right about the apples. Yeah, the apples store a long time,
Yeah.
and they get a really funny flavor.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they so do bananas. I actually
Mm.
grow bananas here and plantains,
Wow.
uh, and they have an incredible flavor like you would never taste, from one you buy.
Mhm.
I let them ripen on the plant, and it just incredible flavor. So they definitely spoil me. Uh, I have some uh, plantains coming off soon, and ooh, and
Wow.
they're
Wow. You can
wow,
make
geez,
plantain pancakes. You can make plantain
oh
pancakes. It's crazy good. Yeah, if you use the green plantains, it becomes like a resistant starch. And resistant starch is very powerful for the intestines. In fact, they discovered that, like cold potatoes, once they're cooked and you get them cold and you eat them, they become a resistant starch, which means it bypasses the intestines. It goes right into the colon where it feeds certain bacteria that are cancer fighters. Amazing. And plantains, one of those, cold potatoes, same with cold rice, cold beans, all have a certain amount of resistant starch. Not when they're hot, but when they're cold. So
yeah.
yeah, study
All
that.
right, battery powered house. I'll catch you later, man. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah. So you give me ideas about my plantains now, but now
Yeah,
I'm
you
only
can
going to
make
get like
pancakes.
like like 5 hands of
Okay.
plantains. I didn't realize that they were the bloom was going down into one of the pups, and
Uh-huh.
it messed up the bloom a little bit. So, but that's okay. I still get 5 hands for it, so
That's good.
that's good. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh, so yeah, I got my second crop of tomatoes coming in right now. It's in my greenhouse. So I have
wow.
so they're starting to produce the tomatoes now. So I grow all year round. So I
Nice.
have to. So uh, but it's going to be getting cold here soon. So
Do you can them or how do you use them? Do you freeze them? You can
uh,
them?
well, it depends on what I do. If I make a simple sauce, like a tomato sauce, I just
Yeah.
juice them, and or put them in the blender, and then I'll just can that,
Uh-huh.
that I could use for spaghetti or whatever, later on.
Nice.
So, but I try to I usually end up eating a lot of them because
I know they're so good.
yeah, that's
They're so good.
yeah, they're so good. I mean, just slice one open, a little salt, pepper,
Mhm.
and that's my meal right
Like
there.
heaven. I know. It's right. You're right. Simple.
Yeah,
Simple and so
simple. Yeah, so I live simple, and of course I eat bread and eggs and
mhm,
meat. So
mhm.
please forgive me, but I think
I
it's a
don't
natural
judge you.
cycle.
I don't judge you. I know that yeah, I did too. All my family does. They all still eat it. I know for me, it was just I had to give it up because I was making me sick. I think
Hmm.
there is, one of the things that I think about is in the garden, we weren't there was no death. It was life and everything was good and very good. And we even ate fruit. We didn't even eat vegetables until after the fall. And so I think, if you think about an apple tree, that tree will continue to live even though it produces fruit. It's just a
Yeah,
metaphor for us. And I know that people have really cured serious diseases, and myself included, going on a vegan diet. And really, I think a lot of it is cutting out the garbage because we're just always being infiltrated with some sort of poison, whether we eat it, drink it, breathe it, sleep in it. It's always around us, some of the kind
hmm
of poison. So, going back to the garden is kind of our oasis, and we just get better when we're there, mentally, physically, and spiritually. We do.
yeah. Well,
Um,
now the meat I do eat, I actually raise, and I know what goes into it. I
uh-huh.
raise tilapia, and I use tilapia for like my hamburger meat, tacos and spaghetti and all that. It's such a mild meat. So
Mm.
I know you don't want to hear about that, but
I'm like, oh, okay. No,
but
no. And so, yeah.
there is a question. I do got a question for you as a chef, and this might. I'm not trying to catch you off guard here, but
All right, go for
do
it.
you know what etos are?
Say it again.
Etos?
Etos.
the African potato.
I don't. I
You
don't
know?
know what
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I
They're the
don't.
big potatoes.
Are they
You
like
know,
russets? Russet potato?
no, they grow like the leaves on them look like a elephant ear plant, if you know what that is.
Wow, that's
Uh, and,
cool.
and they grow really big. And the only way I know to cook them is just to bake them. And I was wanting some ideas because I have a big crop coming in, and
Wow.
but of course they'll store, for the entire winter. They'll stay good through the winter. But once I harvest them, I just store them in a
You
cool
have to
place.
use them. You have to use them or store them in a cool place. Tell me what the flavor's like, and I could give you some ideas. Are they starchy? Are they like a red potato? What's the
Yes, they're
texture?
they're starchy, kind of uh, like a like a turnip and a
Okay.
potato mix.
And so
Uh,
that's the flavor. Is it kind of like a
no,
kohlrabi?
it's more like a water chestnut. That's it. Water
Uh-huh.
chestnut, a
Okay.
huge water chestnut.
So
That crunchiness, you
it's
know,
crunchy. So when you bake it, what is the consistency?
it gets to be like a sweet potato. That
Uh-huh.
the soft dissolves, and I usually put butter over them, and they're really good. It's just one is a meal,
Yeah,
more than I could ever eat. So,
got
but
it.
you know,
So
I'll show
what
you one
comes to
day.
mind?
So,
Yeah, I want to see. I might go get some. But what comes to mind, I just think about is just dehydrating them and then grinding them into a flour, and you could store them that way. Dehydrating is a really great way to kind of store your foods too.
yeah.
And then I would think if it gets kind of, like a sweet potato, you could use it to thicken soups, um, stuff like that.
Oh,
But if
yeah,
it's a
and stir
flour,
fries and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, if
Well,
it's the
that's an idea
flour,
about
yeah,
flour.
yeah,
Real good idea.
you
I
can
mean,
make
you might have
potato
come up with
bread,
something.
all that stuff.
Well, actually, I did read that one time that they do use it in Africa as a flour.
Huh.
So uh, yeah, so that's right. But I make
Okay.
a lot of lamb's quarter flour. It's a
Mm-hmm.
plant. It's a really good plant. It pulls the minerals from the ground, and it gets a white powdery on them, which is the minerals that it's pulled out. It pulls out iron and
Really?
manganese. It's like a
Wow.
syrup and I make that into flour, and I add
Mhm.
it to my when I'm
Nice.
making bread. So it makes a
Okay.
green bread, but a lot of people are like,
Yeah.
ooh,
I bet you
like
could add to smoothies too. I mean, get your power pack of nutrition, I bet. That would be
well,
interesting.
everybody loves the pancakes, the lamb's quarter pancakes, but the
Uh-huh.
bread, they're like, that's a green bread.
Yeah, you have to disguise that a little bit. Is it moldy? What's happening here? I don't know if I trust you. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, make pizza crust. That's a
You
good
could you
idea.
could make a pizza crust, definitely. And you could like put some rosemary in there. It would be good.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I grow all the herbs, the rosemary, the sage. I mean, massive quantities.
Sure.
Because I cook with them every day.
That is
And
amazing. That's so exciting. That's really good. That's one tip too I can say is when you're using fresh herbs, like let's say you're sauteing something, add them right at the very end. But if you're going to use dried, you can just put them right in the beginning because it's just going to infuse the flavor. But when you're using fresh, put it in right at the end. It gives it a whole new flavor and dimension. It's
oh,
good.
so if you put fresh rosemary, no, I love rosemary potatoes. That's one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah, so if you roast them, rosemary potatoes are great. Yeah, olive
Mhm.
oil's fine. Totally. I have no problem with, the oils that you can, the best oil really is the oil that you get straight from the avocado. You don't have it processed, it's not going to get rancid, anything like that. So that's the freshest way. If you keep your oils safe and you keep them out of the light and heat, you should be fine. But I like just eating nuts and getting the oil straight from the nut. You're getting it in its natural synergistic um, form. It's combined with fiber, and it's not just all isolated to where 1 tablespoon is equivalent to eating so much fat per day. But I mean, at the end of the day, oil is totally fine. Just make sure it's a good quality oil. You want to stay away from hydrogenated, obviously, partially hydrogenated. Soy, I stay away from that. Flaxseed oil is beautiful, but it's really one of those oils that doesn't like to get cooked. It's full of omega-3 fatty acids. It's amazing, very powerful, heart healthy oil, but you don't want to cook with it. It's a cold pressed oil. You want to save that, keep it, away from the heat, put it in the fridge or wherever you can store it. But on the flip side of that, if you have chia, which is amazing, it can be cooked, it can be, out left in the heat, it doesn't go rancid, it doesn't hurt your omega-3s at all. So I love chia, I love avocado, flax is great. Those are all good. Yeah.
Do you make your oil right there, or you buy it already?
No, I don't make my own oil. If I do use it, I'll purchase it from a good quality vendor. But for the most part, I don't cook with oil. I don't. If I want to use oil in baking, I can substitute a banana, puree banana. I can use pumpkin, beans. You can use beans in place of oil. I'll use nut butters. I make my own nut butters with just, grinding down nuts. I'll make my own nut milk. So I'll get almonds. I'll turn it into nut milk, and then I'll keep the pulp and I'll dehydrate the pulp, and then that becomes a flour. So you're not wasting anything. You're using the entire part of the food. Same with like cauliflower. If you have a big head of cauliflower, most people tear off those greens and throw them away, but I don't. I save those greens, I chop them up and turn it into a pesto. So you don't have to throw anything away. You really don't, except for like the skins of the onion. You can't really use those. And the skins of garlic, you can't really use that. Go mulch that or whatever. But you can save a lot of this stuff. If I have an onion left over from chopping onion, I store it in a gallon size container of like a Ziploc or whatever. And I just throw all the stuff inside of that. And I freeze it until I have enough of a gallon size bag. So I just keep adding to it, put it in the freezer. I have carrot, peels, put them in there, put in the freezer. And then when I have a gallon size bag, I then turn that into a soup stock. So I'll boil that down, and then I have my soup stock I can freeze. I can use it to make whatever. And then I strain all those veggies, right? So you don't want to throw away that soup stock. It is priceless. And you've grown these vegetables, you've put your hard labor into it, or you've paid a lot of money for organic. You don't want to just throw away the peels. Either put them out in the compost pile or turn it into a great soup stock. And then when you have all this beautiful leftover cooked veggies, you can puree that and thicken your soups with it. So there's a lot of, we waste a lot of food.
Well, you need a YouTube channel sharing that with us, that knowledge. But,
yeah.
So I know you're going to work on it, but Mike has a question for you. He has, Shelley, do you have this info on a Facebook page or a group or?
You need to come to my class. I know I give all this information in my class. Some of this stuff is in my book, Too Few Cooks in the Kitchen, but I'm writing another book. It's called Eating from Eden. It hasn't been released yet, but I'm going to have all these tips and things in the book. And my goal is to have a 2-week menu. And so my goal is to tell you, hey, you have this food, right? You're going to make it on Sunday, and you're going to be able to repurpose it throughout the week or the next 2 weeks. And you're going to double, triple recipes, and you're going to turn burgers now into taco filling. You're going to turn these burgers, you can set aside some of them to turn into meatballs or a nut loaf or whatever. So that is the goal. A lot of it's just in my head, and I share it with my students, but hopefully I'll get it on paper, kind of like your book you're working on.
Well, let me see if Country Girl, I think you're my only mod here right now. Is there any way you can grab the link below and share it in the chat? And maybe the link for her book, from the website, if you can. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, so I just want everybody to be able to see it, from the link of it. So, I know it costs. So everything costs. Everything you do is worth something, and I tell people that when I teach them something, it's worth something, But so how much is the book, if you don't mind me asking?
The book I think retails for like $19.99, but I know there's a sale running. My publisher, I think, is selling it for $15. But on Amazon, I'll have to look. Yeah, I think I saw one reselling this book for $500. I'm like, wow, I've made it, man. Someone's selling my book for $500. Have fun trying to get that one. I don't know. That's gonna be a tough one to get. That must be gold plated or something. So yeah.
You must have signed it or something. A
I
signed
don't
book.
know. Yeah, right. I don't know if it's worth 500, maybe $5. $5 used book. So
I know I need one of those books, so I'll be looking for it. So you
yeah.
know,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's fun. So I make cheesecakes using cashews. And you can make one ingredient ice cream, frozen bananas, and you just blend them up or put them in your food processor and frozen. And you top them off with your favorite granola, fresh strawberries, blueberries, or whatever. And it is like heaven. My kids love it. They just, foods can taste amazing. We just think we have to have 18 ingredients in something for it to taste good. And that's just not my goal. My goal is to make things simple. And unless you love cooking in the kitchen, if you love it, you can add and play. But if you understand the foundation, you understand the basics of how food works, the basics of flavor, how to balance it, and I tell people, look, you're cooking things from scratch now. It's not foods that are grown in a plant. It's not McDonald's where the food tastes the same every single time. There's no two lemons alike. There's no two cloves of garlic alike. Even though they're part of the same family, they don't all taste the same every single time. So you have to learn to flavor balance. And so I teach people how to flavor balance, how to understand the chemistry of food, how to substitute if you don't have something. But most importantly, how to fix it. How many times have we cooked food and it's like broken and it's not what we thought it was going to be and we got to throw the whole thing out. We spent so much money and time and it's not what we wanted. So I teach people you can fix it. You can fix anything except for burnt. If you burned it, you got to get rid of it. But hopefully we won't burn things. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate it when it burns on the bottom of the pan. Oh no!
I know. It's such a bummer. That is such a bummer. You try not to stir it. You just kind of scrape part of it. Call barbecue. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. That's wow, you're such a wealth of information. This I'm super excited about you being here, and I'm ready to learn. What you showing me about the Whole Foods, and especially what I could do with the Etos.
Definitely.
Yeah, I might have to send you one.
Anyone
you can experiment with.
I know. I'm gonna go look now. I'm gonna go see if I can find something and come up with a recipe because it's exciting. I love new stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially as starchy as it is. Yeah, so yeah, I would be excited what you could come up with. Of course, I'm kind of excited too now that you mentioned that about the flour. Because you need something to bind together when you're making flour. So that might be starchy enough to do that.
Might be.
So
yeah, a good binder, like in place of an egg, is just you can make your own flax egg or chia egg. Really simple. Take chia, grind it in a coffee grinder. 1 tablespoon of flax even to 3 tablespoons of water. You let it sit. That's equivalent to 1 egg. So it works great as a binder. There's other little tricks too you can use to, if you don't.
Somebody asked Michelle Irwin ? Mike asked
yes,
that. I mean,
that's me.
That's you.
That's my married name. My maiden name is Lewis. So.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question. Burnt garlic is the worst. Now, I disagree with that. Now, I love blackened garlic. I can see it right off the skillet. Blackened garlic.
That's funny. You must have acquired that taste because that's interesting.
Oh, you don't use blackened garlic in anything you do? So yeah.
I don't like burnt. There's something about, it creates acrylamides, first of all. So that's the other thing with meat. If you want to study acrylamides and how carcinogenic it is, when meat or high water content food is burned and you eat that, then it creates this kind of really bad chemistry in the body, very carcinogenic. So I don't like burnt. I try to avoid it as much as possible.
Oh, well, it ain't burnt to a crisp. It just kind of blackened a little bit.
If you scrape it off, you're okay. But
it's just caramelized is what the main thing is.
Caramelized, okay. That's different. That is good. Caramelized garlic. Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, somebody let me try some the other day, some pickled garlic. And
that's good. Do you love it?
Yeah, I love it. and
Yeah.
it had a tomato base in there too, and
Hmm.
I could have ate the whole jar. You
I
know,
know it. It's so good. So good.
that's something I'm working on now. Is I'm making with my extra produce, I'm pickling it like cauliflower and
Uh-huh.
and cucumbers, not letting making a brine or nothing like that. It's just pickling it in a light pickle sauce, so that I can just eat it for snack or lunch or something
Nice.
like that. So
Nice.
it's really good in the fermented uh,
Hmm.
for your digestive system. Of course, you probably know all that. So
The probiotics. No, it's true. There is a lot to be said. Every culture that kind of is sustaining the sustainable living, they have some sort of sauerkraut or kimchi or some kind of fermented food that helps with medicine. It's medicinal. And we've really gotten away because we pasteurize everything, we cook it, we clean everything. So we're not getting the bugs that would naturally be present in our everyday living. We wash our hands. So there's something to be said about that.
somebody asked a little off topic. They asked for a teething baby. Do you
Okay.
anything uh, that might help with the uh, natural for teething babies?
Yeah, yeah. So I know with my children, like they nursed all the time. So nursing was like what helped me a lot. And you can also like, it's not my favorite thing, but you can take ice in a sock, and tie it up, make sure they don't choke. And they like to just kind of gnaw on that a little bit. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
they
So
like the cool, they like it. And I've even seen babies like they'll be, just anything cold they can put in their mouth. It does seem to soothe them. Hmm.
wow, time
Yeah.
is going really quick. I mean,
I
you're just a
know.
wealth of knowledge. Yeah, and so I'm excited about your upcoming videos about the vegan cooking and the
Yeah.
whole food. Because that's exactly
Yes.
what I need, exactly what I want to learn about, and the whole foods. Taking one thing and making a meal out of it. That's I like to
Mm,
keep it simple. So
right on.
just like a tomato. Have one tomato. That's a meal. You know.
Yeah, so that is very basic and that's good. If you can do that, I'm like hats off to you, Daniel. I probably would say, hey, let's take this tomato and see what we can do with it. Let's slice it up, maybe broil them, bring out some of that nice flavor, add a little bit of salt. If you want to drizzle some olive oil, some basil, and start there with like really nice seasoned tomatoes. And then
Oh
from
yeah,
there, put them in
I have
a,
an I have an abundance of basil right now. Every kind of
yes,
basil. The it's
yes,
called
you should.
Korean. I mean, I'm going to be drying it. I guess I have no choice but to dry it.
Got
But I've
it.
been
You
keeping it
can
fresh
put in the
on that.
freezer. You
What
can
now?
make a pesto and then put it in the freezer. That's the other thing. Make a bunch of stuff and then invest in those ice cube trays. So I put my gravies, my cheese sauces, my pesto sauces, or whatever, and whatever I've left over, I freeze it. Then I pop them out, and they're about 2 tablespoons each. And then you put them in Ziplocs or however you store them. And then when you need pesto, you just let it thaw out and you have it. So definitely either dry it or use it up. That
Okay,
pesto.
so in your pesto, the pesto I know is oil
Uh-huh.
and the basil and maybe tomato and
Some garlic.
garlic and
And then maybe
uh,
Parmesan cheese or something. Your
yeah.
Parmesan. Yeah.
So you'll freeze all that. You'll blend it up and then freeze it in ice
Yeah.
cube trays. That's
Yeah. So
okay.
my base for my pesto is either walnuts, very good source of omega-3. I call them my smart food. Or I'll use pine nuts, which they're so expensive, I don't even bother. Any nut really can work, and then you just add some basil, garlic, and if you wanted to use a little olive oil, I don't even bother with that. Some sea salt. Yeah, and that's wonderful. It's great to use as even just put on top of your bread, make a bruschetta. And those
Bruschetta.
grilled tomatoes you made,
That's a fancy
yeah,
name, bruschetta. Mm.
bruschetta. It's a fancy name for putting, chopped up tomatoes on some bread with a little pesto. That's about it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds good. I'm real hungry now.
I know. Everybody's like, it's time to eat.
Time to eat. So, yeah, we only got like 10 minutes left in
Yeah.
the show. But now you're a radio host. Let's talk about that a little bit,
Yeah.
so that we can get everybody over there to visit your
Yeah.
uh,
Yes. I'm so
You're
excited to launch this radio show. It's I was invited, just kind of like my chef thing. They approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to host a radio show?" And I was like, I've learned in my life now when people approach me about things, and it wasn't just one person. It was like 4 different people on different occasions had said something, and I thought, okay, God, I'll do it. But it's called Down the Rabbit Hole with Shelley Lewis, which is my maiden name. And we dive into some topics that are not conventional. You know, we're going to talk about things that, of course, the food industry. We'll talk about off-grid living, right, Daniel?
Mhm.
We're going to talk about, you know, getting out of the cities and things, you know, pharmaceuticals and health things. And of course, the name of the radio station is called Flat Earth Live Radio. So we're going to talk a
Yeah.
lot about flat Earth because that is just something that's really crazy too. People think, you know, flat Earth, you're going to fall off the edge.
Yeah.
And you know, I wanted to be an astronaut. I did. That's why I went to West Point. I wanted to be an astronaut, and I believed everything, except for one time. My husband, he told me, he said, "I don't think the moon landing is real." And I thought, "You're kidding me, right? You are nuts. You're crazy." But then he started presenting it to me, and I was just blown away. Like, wow. And I knew 9/11 was a lie. I knew we
Yeah.
never flew into the Pentagon. All these things were lies. So why in the world would they stop there? You know, it just makes sense. Everything, we're in the matrix. So anyway, that's the name of the show, Down the Rabbit Hole. And you're going to be my guest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be your guest on your first show. So
on my
I'm really
debut.
honored about
I
that. You know that.
know. I'm
So
excited.
I'm excited about being on the radio anyway. But yeah, I agree with you about spacing. Nixon calling them on the phone, and I can go a mile down the road and I can't get a cell phone signal.
That's it.
Something
Why do we need
28.
more cell phone towers? We just use the technology that Nixon used when he was talking to people on the moon.
Yeah, yeah. Why can't we just use that? We all have free cell phone service. It's 28 million miles away. But
Hey,
hey, let
I
me
got a
go.
rotary phone still, man. We just use that. We don't even need.
You are right there. We just use that rotary phone. 8, 7, 3.
Yeah.
Hey, the moon. I
That's
don't
it, man.
understand. I don't understand if if we went to the moon, why can't we just put a camera on there shooting back at the Earth? How simple would that be? If we put a rover on Mars, how simple
Mm,
would it be to put a rover on the moon and then shoot back at the Earth? But
right. Let's
it's
just dispel all the rumors. I mean, if we'll just point Hubble. Hubble can see so far into space. Why can't we just turn it around and show us? Show us
yeah,
a picture of us that's real, not CGI. And that was something that got me too. Is like, yeah, how come? And then John Pettit says, "Oh, we lost the technology to go back to the moon, but we're heading to Mars." Okay, well, that's odd.
yeah,
How are we able to go to Mars if but we can't go to the moon? I mean, we've all just been lied to. So God is lifting the veil, and we're going to delve into those topics and really explore it and say,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And I have a lot of well, everybody knows on my channel I study scripture and I'm learning Hebrew, and it's hey Jan, how you doing? I'm really delving into learning what it actually says and not what King James wants it to say.
wow,
Or
yeah,
so. And it's surprising, about things, and I'm real surprised and real grateful that the Father's allowing me to do this and sharing that with me.
yeah, that's
So I'm looking
exciting.
forward to this. So because
Really
I got
exciting.
a lot of
I
ideas and a
know.
lot
I
of
can't wait. I'm excited because just even your sustainable living, you know, mm, that's really digging down the rabbit hole. A lot of people, you know, we're stuck in the cities, and so I can't wait for our listeners to hear how you did it, how you actually broke away and live this since, you know, how 7 years totally off the grid, but just getting off the grid that's revolutionary. And that's what our ancestors did. And
yeah,
we don't cook anymore, right? It's the same concept. We don't know how to survive out in a garden situation. So I'm thrilled you're going to be my first guest. I
yeah.
can't
I
wait.
just spent a week for Sukkot, and cooking it on the fire, cook all my meals on the fire and all that. And, I love it. That's the best flavor there, cooking all your meals on fire.
It's so
Of course,
good.
it was a lot of meat there, but I did make French toast, and, that ain't too bad.
Nice. Hey, you can make French toast without eggs, you guys. You can just take bananas, puree them with a little bit of almond milk that you made. If you don't have almond milk, just use water. And I add a little pumpkin spice and a little bit of flax to make it bind up. And then that becomes my batter for dipping my bread and making French toast. It's really good. It's so good. With
so can I do that with plantains? These plantains are you can actually, they're not going to be hard.
They're not. Are they sweet? You might have to add some sweetener to it, but I think you probably could. You probably could.
They're sweet. You can peel them and eat them like a banana.
Oh, wow. Then definitely you could. You definitely could.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. So,
that would be good.
I'll be doing that.
You should try it.
I should try it. I will try it. I want to live healthy. I mean, but I have a bunch of chickens that give me a bunch of eggs.
Right.
But it's
right.
Of course, I know where them chickens, what they're eating every day.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So it's a little different. And how old the eggs are,
they're not a year old. You have really fresh eggs, probably.
So. Yeah. It's so fresh that when you crack them open, the shell falls apart. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you can't boil fresh eggs because you can't get the shells off. So you have to wait and let them cure a little bit.
Interesting.
So
I didn't know that. That's good stuff. Not that I'm ever going to do that, but it's good to know, because you see people cracking eggs and making hard-boiled eggs. Those are probably really old eggs. They're super old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super old. And, that's, like everything else, they have to store as much as they can, so, and milk, even milk right now, that's another thing for me. It's 99 cents a gallon now. It used to be $4 a gallon, and now it's 99 cents. What is up with the milk?
You know what it is? It's like, okay, I could go on forever. I don't want to steal your time. But I saw a picture of what real milk looks like in a production situation where they're milking the cows in the production. It's pink. It's full of blood and pus. It's crazy. And this is crazy too. This is a hot topic. We voted with our dollars to say, hey, we don't want your milk anymore. We're going to buy almond milk. And so the government subsidized the milk industry, says, oh, you're too big to fail. So we, with our own dollars, say, we don't want this. But then the government just gives them money to keep doing it. So they're just, there's so many topics we could delve into.
Well, I have milk goats, so and they're not full of they're not
blood
pink.
And pus. That's good.
Yeah, actually goat milk is the healthiest milk that there is because it's not
close to human milk.
Yeah,
this is close to humans' milk. Like they give that to babies when they can't breastfeed. Use goat milk.
Yeah, I was reading the comments too. Everybody's talking about eggs.
I know.
And all that kind of
stuff. Talk about eggs. I don't know how you turned that subject around, but you did a good job, Daniel.
Sorry. I don't mean to laugh on my own show, but it's okay.
No, it's classic. Good job. Good job.
Good job. Well, we only got like 4 more minutes. But I know everybody's going to be watching this and that has watched this. They're going to be interested in learning more about you. Can you tell us how they can, or you said you're going to do videos and you're going to be on the radio station and that kind of thing. Can you give, everything that you, how they can find you?
They can find me at toofewcooks.com, TOOFEW, cooks, COOKS.com. And my Flat Earth live radio show is F as in Frank, E as in Echo, R as in Romeo, live, LIVE.com. And it's cool. They have a lot of good topics on that show. And I have another cookbook called Sugar-Free Raw Desserts, but that is kind of it's more of a niche. If you want to go sugar-free, I use stevia in place of sugar in making desserts, but I think the better one is the toofewcooks.com. That's the best place to reach me.
Well, I grow a lot of stevia. So what time is the radio show? So
oh, thank you. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So
7
tune
p.m.
in
Central
on
Time.
Wednesdays. Yes, tune on Wednesday nights. Every Wednesday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then I guess Central is 2 hours above 7. And then 8 Eastern. 8 Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Shelley. You stay on if you don't mind. Just stay on just for a minute, and then I'm gonna end the show. And but everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. The hour just flew by. I learned so much. It was awesome. I appreciate it, Shelley.
Thank you, gracious host. It was really fun. I appreciate your time.
And I appreciate all y'all in the comments, and I appreciate my mods. Thank you, Country Girl. Thank you, Susan Sullivan, for y'all coming in, and Sonia and Tanya and everybody else that was here. I appreciate it, and thank you so much. I think there's going to be more videos, but y'all go tune into a radio show because tomorrow night I'm the guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the guest tomorrow night. So y'all go tune in there because it'll be 2 hours too. Me on the radio for 2 hours. Y'all think I can talk long enough? I think I can handle talking for 2 hours. What do you think? Yeah, especially when it's about me. Yeah, no problem there. So, But anyway, guys, I love you, and I'll catch you on the next video.